Ghazghkull mag Uruk Thraka. Ghazghkull mag Uruk Thraka, the self-proclaimed prophet of the Warg, known in the Imperium as the Beast of Armageddon, is the Orc warlord of Warg Ghazghkull, and currently the most notorious war boss of the 41st millennium. He is infamous for his actions during both the Second and Third Armageddon Wars. Ghazghkull is a particularly megalomaniacal orc, convinced he is blessed by the orc gods Gork and Mork. He possesses a considerable measure of cunning, and in battle he tends to focus more on commanding his troops compared to other war bosses, only engaging in combat himself at critical moments. In late M41, the Eldar of Ulthwé prevented a Warg from endangering Craftworld Idare. In the process, this act raised Ghazghkull Thraka to prominence. The earliest records of Ghazghkull since that time were recorded 9 years before the Second War for Armageddon. At this time, Ghazghkull was a lowly orc boy in the armies on the planet of Urk, possibly where part of his name came from. A Space Marine force of an unknown chapter raided the planet in the hopes of disrupting the orc forces building up there. During the battle, a bolter round tore into Ghazghkull's skull, destroying 30% of his skull and pulping a good portion of his brain. He was found by the notorious pain boy known as Mad Doc Grotznik, who rebuilt his skull with adamantium. Somehow, this enabled Ghazghkull's latent psychic powers, convincing Ghazghkull that he had been somehow blessed by the orc gods, and from here on in, he claimed to be in communication with Gork and Mork. Convinced he was marked for great things, within 6 years he had risen to the rank of war boss of his tribe. A year later, 2 events occurred, giving Ghazghkull the opportunity to further his dominance and begin a great Warg. Firstly, Urk's sun had begun to die. Severe solar flares caused many deaths from radiation. Secondly, a massive space hulk appeared in orbit around the planet, offering escape from certain death. Ghazghkull managed to subjugate the other tribes on Urk, who combined to form the genesis of a Warg. Ghazghkull's first base of operations was a deserted Fortress of Redemption, later renamed as the Fortress. It has been vastly upgraded by Orks. While en route through the warp, power systems on Ghazghkull's hulk failed several times, and the war boss and his new orc chargers had to fight off continuous demonic attacks, providing them with plenty of battle experience. The Hulk found its way to the Armageddon system. Its weapons demolished the defences of the Armageddon system, including obsolete orbital satellites and small attack craft. Desperate messages were sent in the hope of acquiring aid. 3 Space Marine chapters began to organise themselves, but would not be able to get there before the Orks landed. A month later, the Orks disembarked, beginning the Second War for Armageddon in earnest on the day of the Feast of the Emperor's Ascension in 941 M41. Ghazghkull's attempted conquest of Armageddon would be foiled by his arch-rival Commissar Yarrick, but the war boss would later capture his hated enemy during the Battle of Golgotha. After a few weeks of torture, Ghazghkull decided Yarrick was too much fun for the new fight he was already planning and released the Commissar. 57 years to the day after launching the Second Armageddon War, Ghazghkull once more invaded Armageddon, this time with an even larger War at his disposal. Though initially conquering half the planet's surface in extremely bloody fighting, Ghazghkull became bored with the stalemate that was developing on Armageddon, leaving the settlement of the conflict to his nobs. Ghazghkull left Armageddon in search of a new, more exciting fight. His old enemy, Commissar Yarrick, followed him and vowed to slay the war boss at all costs. Ghazghkull was cornered by Yarrick and Helbrecht of the Black Templars at the Battle of Haunted Gulf, where it seemed the warlord's luck had finally run out. During the height of the battle, aboard his flagship Killwrecker, Ghazghkull received a message from his Weird Boys, apparently from Gork and Mork themselves. The greenskin gods told him that it was not his time to die, and that the whole galaxy must echo to the battle cry of the Orks. They charged Ghazghkull with gathering a war like no other, and to do this he must first defeat every other major Orc warlord and bring their forces under his sway. Upon uniting the Orc race, he was commanded to lead them in a battle that would last forever. The Killwrecker vanished in the warp and escaped his Imperial pursuers. The vessel reappeared in the Orc Empire of Arctarius, where Ghazghkull first had to contend with the rival war boss Uruk the Slayer, and then the Tyranids of Hive Fleet Leviathan. He has since launched his new Great Warg, intent on fulfilling the mission given to him by the Orc gods. Ghazghkull has since left the Arctarius war zone, and is now leading a fleet of over 5 million ships against the Imperium. However, conflicting reports by the Logis Strategos concerning the location of Ghazghkull is causing consternation at the highest levels of the Imperium. The Grand Warlord is documented to be within Arctarius, yet simultaneously sacking Cantissa upon the killing fields of Orokta, reappearing at Armageddon to give tactical advice to his followers, in the Imperium Nihilus, and fighting around Rysar. It is speculated that the Orcs are using warp storms to navigate the galaxy, and extreme empiric time dilation may also be to blame for the confusion.